You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, Moveville University, Pure Chiro Notes, Dr. Alok Trivedi, the Black Diamond Club, Element Mattresses, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Vita Chiropractic, the Universal Traction System, MedZone, Vantage Point Marketing, and Imaging Services. Let's hustle.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us on the live stream of the morning edition of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I have Lisa Engle with me over in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm here in Grand Junction, which is the Grand Valley, the western slope of Colorado, which I like to say no one lives, and I do. So it's pretty cool out here. I can hear the birds chirp all the time, Lisa. I love it. That's why I moved out here.
There you go.
But today's episode is brought to us by Barbara Eaton and her 56-day chiropractic bootcamp. She has helped so many chiropractors double their business, and I think 2 to 3 months she does that in. So if you guys are looking for helping yourself grow with a good chiropractic system and coach, reach out to Dr. Barbara Eaton. And Lisa, welcome to the Chiro Hustle live stream.
Thanks. It's a joy and honor to be here.
Yeah, so we'll dive right into the conversation today. You're not a DC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nope.
And I'm not either. So let's talk about what has it been like to work in the chiropractic profession as a non-DC for almost 3 decades?
It depends on where I am and who I'm with. When I'm in my office, it's an amazing experience. When I'm in most settings and seminars, it's an amazing experience where I feel respected and even cherished by some for the role that I play. But there's also been the experience of not feeling very respected. And when there's a speaker up at the front and says, how many of you are students? And the hands all go up and, okay, so now for the rest of you doctors. And I forget that there's staff in the audience or that's not who they're necessarily speaking to. And so I've been a big advocate for getting awareness of value for the CA.
Yeah, I think that the CAs are kind of like the unsung capped hero. They're the ones that are behind the scenes that make the doctors' lives good so they can take 3-hour lunches.
I often said that a CA can make or break a practice.
Yeah, and it's important to keep those breadwinners of the clinic strong. I worked in an office for 5.5 years. I don't know if many people know that, but I know what it's like to vacuum the floors and take the trash out and clean the toilets and make sure that there's paper in the printer and make sure that the Wi-Fi is set up. And there's just so many things that you have to do. You have to be an IT person. You have to, be an organizer. You have to be kind to people constantly, even when you're like at your most extreme busyness.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the reputation.
One of the classes that go ahead.
I was just going to say the reputation of the practice sometimes weighs so heavily on that CA's help.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely does. They really are leaders, though they're not necessarily empowered and handed that role intentionally and clearly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So would you consider yourself a chiropractic advocate then?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yes, known in the community as somebody who is knowledgeable. People reach out and say, okay, where should I go? This is the part of the city that I live in. In the children's schools have created events and brought in chiropractic. She's the lady with the spine, I've brought in doctors, and then I've also taught and explained chiropractic to the kids in the schools and the teachers for decades.
Yeah, it's so important to be a good advocate for the profession and to have something positive to stand on. So many times people ask me, well, how long have you been in this profession? Why did you start doing what you do? And I say this simply: there wasn't anything I really believed in 100% that I wanted to give my time, attention, and energy to, and give my life to, because I thought it was so wonderful of a profession, but maybe misunderstood. So if I could build some clarity for people as to being an advocate for something I could believe in, I thought that that was like a good addition for me having my own personal fulfillment. So it is fulfilling when you go out there and you spread the message of chiropractic, become an evangelist, and get the big idea into your community.
Absolutely. I have people that will see me and go, oh, I need to call my chiropractor. That's important. I've often been asked why aren't you a chiropractor? And
I get that a lot too.
Yeah. At the time that I was making the decision to go to school or not, I was a single mom, and the time, energy, and money that I knew it would require, and totally worth it for the people that are out there doing it. But the time, energy, and money I wasn't willing to take from my two children at the time. After my mom had gone to school at Emory, and I was the kid that had the parent who was in grad school. So the time, energy, and money I wasn't willing to do. But what I ended up facing was I own the art, the science and the philosophy that's completely in me. I live it. But the art of chiropractic for me isn't the delivery of an adjustment, but the delivery of an experience. And so being able to really stay connected to the whole of chiropractic is not less because I'm not a DC.
You brought up a good point there, and chiropractic is more of an experience. It's a life experience, and it's like a practice. It's a personal practice. It's not just the practitioner taking care of you in practice. It's a practice for you. Like, there's so many people out there right now that are really like involved with like CrossFit training, or they're really involved with training for like ultra marathons or Ironman, or they practice yoga. So there's certain levels of things that people, as they practice it more, they get better with it, and their life becomes really what they want to, have more enjoyment. I think that chiropractic is more of a practice type thing for the person going, as well as for the practitioner being able to deliver the goods.
Absolutely.
It's that lifestyle that we talk about. It's that chiropractic lifestyle. And I do think that people that, get adjusted regularly, they vibrate at a different frequency. They don't worry about the small things of like sickness and not feeling good. They worry about the long checklist of things that they have to do because they feel so darn good.
Right. And there's a connection to an awareness of what's really, what am I here to do? How am I here to serve? There's more of a connection to that innate potential. I know that for me, being adjusted on a regular basis and having that as part of my lifestyle support has been an incredible shift and impact in how efficient and how effective I am as a human being. Both, all the way around, like whether it's at work or at home with my children or at the schools where I volunteer or in a church or, whatever capacity I show up for, I'm showing up more and better as a result of getting adjusted because I'm more connected to my innate.
Exactly. And that's the message that we need more people to, take home with them. We need more people to know that we can get more out of our life if we live congruent with that chiropractic tone. And I think that that's the conversation that you and I get it. I have such a beautiful life because I'm in the chiropractic community. And, I get to talk to a doctor a day. That's something very special because, my mom early on in life, she told me you're only as good as the company that you keep.
Right.
So,
Wow.
So now that I'm pushing into my 40th year, I'm only as good as a bunch of great, wonderful chiropractors. Because that's my tribe and that's my community now. And those are the people that I want to foster the future with, because I know it's essential to the family unit to have good health.
Right. Yep, it really is.
And Lisa, as people start progressing too, the people that are suffering with poor health, they want to own that like a badge of honor.
Right.
Gotta do this for this. I gotta go to that doctor for this, and I gotta, have this appointment for that. It's like their life becomes one big appointment because they didn't practice the chiropractic lifestyle long term. Right. And then that becomes.
And I think that it's important to remember that it's a choice, and letting people choose that is giving them the reason why to choose that and being an example of why to choose that. there's a lot of people. I've watched patients, and I've worked in the office for almost 29 years before I became the co-owner with my stepfather. And I've watched patients come and go because they didn't quite hear it. I mean, you plant a seed and it gets nourished, and we need to step away. It's not always the priority, and we do the same thing with food, right? Or exercise. Like we get into a good rhythm, we've got it, and then something happens, and that something becomes more important for a stretch of time, and then we go, oh, but I felt so much better when I was, getting the workout in on a regular basis, or I was eating more clean, and so then we come back to it. And so people have to be loved through the process of being welcomed in and out, and not judged or made bad because they didn't choose us for lifetime care on their first visit.
Sure. I get it. It's like speed dating and wanting to date somebody for the rest of your life.
Right.
It's like, I just met you. You're going to see me for the rest of your life now, and bring your kids too. Don't forget to bring the wife. I'll get you all in here, but it's a good strategy because, the system builds gaps in time that you can only give your intention to that person for that amount of time. It's really, a very extreme amount of intention put on that moment of meeting and talking and then converting. I mean, it's a very smooth system if it's not hurried, but I think a lot of times we expect people to come into the chiropractic family and start getting care, and then we don't ever want to see them leave. It's like, where was Jim? He was just here last week. Right. And then you don't see me for like a year and a half, and then I come back in saying, hey, it's me again. I have this problem. Can you help me?
Yeah. And how are they received? And that's, again, having done this for so long and brought in so many people into the fold, so to speak. I've had a lot of patients come that have had less than healthy experiences relationally, with offices. There's a full spectrum of experiences out there.
Well, it's a fast-paced business when an office is busy. It's not like, hey, come on in and you can hang out for 3 hours and we'll talk all day. No, you get like your appointment, you come in, we do XYZ with you, and then, hey, go see the front desk and pay.
Right. And that's where, again, back to the experience piece, is that there's what are we experiencing in practice totally changes what the patient experiences. So I mean, looking at all aspects of that, of the experience, both for the staff, for the doctor, for the patient. What does everybody really want out of it, and how do we show up to be able to create that?
Yeah, like Michael Tokash, he's one of our sponsors with Imaging Services. He goes, yes, lock in your patient customer's communication. Like, you have to be so intentional with how you frame everything and how you communicate, from the handshake to the lighting. I mean, everything has to have its like purpose behind it to make sure that we know that this person feels comfortable. They know what to expect. There has to be that communication thing. Like, I've heard time after time, Lisa, that one of the most important things for the chiropractor is to communicate properly.
Absolutely. And I think communicating who that practitioner is and who that office supports, because there are times where the patient comes in and you're not the right match. And so not to try to pretend to be something or somebody that you're not, but to maintain integrity and congruency to what it is that you have intention for. You know what I'm saying? Like that does change things.
Amanda Affelblatt up in Michigan, we'll go see her next week, but she says it's all about the little things. It's those simple things that matter so much. And it's keeping the front, doormat clean. It's, making sure that the open sign's turned. There's so many small things that go to making sure that the business is going to run smoothly. I know we're going to get into a little bit about business talk, but let's first talk about what makes you awesome and unique in this marketplace. You do something called Optimom. I know that people be able to learn more about it if you just shared a little bit?
Okay. Well, I didn't mean to start this company, actually. I was getting my certificate as to become a certified health coach for credentials for a book for the chiropractic profession called Creating Chiropractic Experience. And about 2 weeks into the program, I realized I've been coaching for a very, very long time. I've coached doctors and patients to help them make choices congruent to their values. And that's what health coaching actually does, is ties the choices to our values. And God said, here's what you're doing. And I was like, I'm busy, Lord. I have no time for that. Sorry. And God said, here's what you're doing. And I said, okay, fine. Because I've argued with God. I have 5 children. I've argued with God a lot, actually. And I know better. I've never won. So I was like, okay, fine. What's it called? And he said, Optimum Coaching. I was like, all right, that's clever. I'll bite. Tell me more. And essentially, it's a way to, I coach mothers by phone to help them create a picture of who they are at their healthiest and best, their happiest, most joyful life expression. And then we dial that big picture down into the little steps that begin to help them feel comfortable making choices congruent on that terrain. Because I know in my heart of hearts that a healthy mother is going to be who changes the trajectory for the families in this world. And so really, and it's not that the dads aren't. It's not exclusive to mothers. At some point, part of the vision is that there'll be an Optimum Dads, but under the branch and the brand of Optimum Coaching. But so that started about 5 years ago. And so that was the detour on the book expression. So I coach, and then I also co-own the clinic.
So you give a good opportunity to the family unit to live a healthier, more congruent life.
Yes, and I help to normalize the chiropractic language. I use words like integrity and congruency and communication and healthy boundaries and healthy habits, and we really look at who's your team. Like, what does your chiropractor say about that? Oh, you don't have a chiropractor? Well, where are you exactly? And I will make sure that they have one. So really making it a normal thing that there is a family chiropractor that's part of their team.
And that
Let
just
the
goes...
experts be the experts. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor. But I am a certified coach and I am a chiropractor.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that about you, and I didn't know that you'd helped so many women find the chiropractic lifestyle. And I think, from our pre-chat session, some of my ambitions are to make stronger family units as well. A lot of people out there don't know this, but I grew up without a dad from 5 years on. So I really look to making stronger, healthier families for people out there that need more support. And I want to see people be able to contribute and to raise healthy children. So I think that's a huge, objective for that. And, Amanda says, yes, you are awesome, Lisa. Amanda, she's such an advocate for the profession too, highly successful. Her and her husband have been, I don't know how long they've been together practicing, but they're just powerhouses, and they support the profession so much with their abundance. And I can't say enough about Adam and Amanda for what they do for the chiropractic profession. They always support what we do. Since day one, they've been like right on board with us, helping us.
No, nice. Yeah, there's a lot of really amazing people in this profession. It's a different breed of people.
It is. And, if we all learn to play nice, the profession gets stronger.
Yeah, I remember listening to Fred Barge say that, chiropractic, and this would have been in the 90s, I guess, that we were circling the wagons and shooting in. And it's a rough playground.
How long ago was that?
That was in the early 90s, I think.
Okay. How much do you think has changed? You've
made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, Moveville University, Pure Chiro Notes, Dr. Alok Trivedi, The Black Diamond Club, Element Mattresses, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Vita Chiropractic, the Universal Traction System, MedZone, Vantage Point Marketing, and Imaging Services. Let's hustle.
I'd like to think that there is definite change. I feel like I don't have my finger on the pulse of the profession in the same way that I used to. I definitely have my finger on the pulse of what's happening in my clinic and in my community, and I stay in touch and tethered to. I went to philosophy night last Saturday night at Life in the Treehouse. Last time I had been there was with Dr. Nell at one of her teas. I love going on campus. We go to Life Vision. So I have some sense of what's going on in the profession, but politically speaking, I have to stay hopeful because the people that I listen to are people like Dr. Guy Wickman or Steve Welsh of the ICA. I'm involved with the LCW. I did the student chapter. I did a class for them in March. Actually, on the anniversary of my mother's passing, and it felt like I was representing my mother well by talking to the students at Life University about how to engage with and love mothers. So I'm honored to be a part of and counted amongst the many, many incredible people who are serving. And I will just, to all the chiropractors and the students that are listening, thank you for serving in this profession. And then also to all of people like Jim and the CAs, people like myself, stay in, you don't have to have a DC after your name to make a difference.
Yeah, I think that's a very well thing to say is because I know that there's so many people out there that I was thinking about this morning, actually. Somebody had reached out to me and I was like thinking, you know what? I was a guy just nobody knew. I worked in an office. Like I said, I did all the chores at the office and nobody knew me. And then one day I said, I'm going to make a movie on chiropractic. And I'm going to talk to the chiropractic story to everyone. And then I was like, what can I do to add more value between the two films? We have a new film coming out on the 23rd of June. And I was like, what can I do in between the films coming out? I sold chiropractic after I worked in the office, but I was thinking, nobody knew who I was. But if you empower yourself and you say, people are going to know more about chiropractic because of me, and I'm not a DC, everyone out there that's not a DC that's watching this can become who they want to. Consistency, never giving up, and having a vision that's bigger than you can actually tell people and they believe you. I think that's well,
and getting adjusted. Living it is where you have the greatest opportunity to express that potential. Simply living it and showing up and following those innate nudges that say, here's your next part.
So I know the next question I have for you is going to go back to something that has been in your life for a while, and it's chiropractic business. Let's touch on that topic a little bit and give us your angle of understanding it from where your perspective is coming from.
So I worked in the office for almost 29 years before owning the office. And one of the things that I've watched happen is a number of things I've watched happen, for not just our office, but across the board. The empowerment piece, I think, is one of the most critical aspects of pouring into a business for both the doctor, who is the leader and owner, but also so that they can empower their staff, so that they can be empowering their patients. And you and I, in the earlier part of our conversation, I think before we went live, talked a little bit about sort of just how DCs can get very disheartened, because it can be challenging, especially if you're trying to live an expression that's not yours. If you're trying to live the expression of the medical model and you're a vitalistic chiropractor, you're going to be disheartened, so really getting clear on what it is that you want to create in your space. So for instance, Philip, my stepfather, and I we were very clear and very intentional about what kind of practice we were going to have and build and grow when he graduated. I actually worked in the office with a different DC while he was in school, and then Philip bought the guy out and became his old friend. We were very clear on that picture. We made choices and procedures and everything congruent to that picture and built this flourishing practice. I then got remarried and had more kids and then more kids and then more kids. And so I kind of came in and out. And we had various CAs over that ran the front desk. But I didn't own the office, right? So it wasn't just my picture. And I deferred to the owner, And so there were things I couldn't do without being given that autonomy. And so last year when we lost my mom, he asked me to come on as his business partner. And so let him be the doctor, and then I can run the office. And so we searched for a while and found an amazing young doctor. And part of our agreement, in our negotiation was, okay, but you can't be the only DC. We can't only be open 3 days a week, which things were shrinking because of limitations, both of his health and mom's health. And so we negotiated some agreements and brought in a new DC, and we had a new CA. And one of the very first things that we did was say, what do you want to experience? How do you want this to look? So that we can make sure that all of the things that we're doing in the office isn't just supporting my picture and Philip's picture, but it supports their picture, and so that they can really feel some ownership and feel like what they want matters, and so that then they can give their whole hearts to that, and they really show up with love and service, and just a heart that creates change. At the end of the day, the place is flowing.
Yeah, and I think that you touch on something really important there, is that no chiropractor goes to school to come out and be told what to do and micromanaged.
Right.
They come out to serve and to be a doctor. And I think that a lot of times with associateships, I don't know from too much experience, but from my perception of what I hear is that it's a belittling type of situation where you want somebody to basically do everything you don't want to do anymore. And your personality only matters as much as it between the hours of treating times.
Right. Well, and I think too, there's a lot of different dynamics that need to be addressed, and we aren't going to take the time to go over all of them. But there's the dynamic of putting in the time. You don't just come out and own things, right? There's a level of investment that takes place. But that doesn't have to be, like you said, belittled. That can be an empowering experience. I do imagine that both my doc and my CA that are currently with us, they will very likely be the ones who pay the bills one day.
It's that old expression,
right?
Never look down at somebody, because one day you might be looking up at them.
That's right. So I really feel joyful and hopeful about what's happening, not just in our practice, but in the profession. I'm watching a lot of people get empowered. The woman who you had on yesterday, finding the people that love and support you, and they're going to see you successful.
Yeah, I think it's highly important. And I know we're pushing up on the edge of our time together. We have about 5 more minutes. So I want to get in the last question with you. And that's let's talk about chiropractic and kids. I know that's something that is dear to your heart because you're a mother. And we can talk a little bit about why chiropractic is so essential for the kiddos.
Yep. So my mom was a midwife. So I grew up watching natural childbirth. Like when I we moved to Atlanta was for her to go to school at Emory and become a certified nurse midwife. And I grew up watching birth videos. And so when I had my first kid, which I was actually 15, and it was a hospital birth, and the nurses said, well, honey, don't you want something? I thought they were offering me like an ST. So the integrity of the body and the wisdom of the body is something that has always been present for me. But what I've watched happen culturally is a massive disconnection from that. Thankfully, my mother then married Philip, who went on to become a chiropractor, and then I went on to work for him. And this is over the course of the last 4 decades. So I feel grateful that they had that marriage of midwifery and chiropractic for me to see and know and really love and trust. But I watch, because I'm a mom, I watch so many in our culture. You're on the ball field, you're at the ball field, you're at the swimming pool, you're at the schools, you're at the PTA. I see parents. I've started moms groups, and there is a disconnect. And we've got to get people back in touch with their wisdom. And the way that our kids are going to learn how to be back in touch with their wisdom is to watch their parents function through theirs. And it's got to be practiced. So just keeping the kids in touch with what their needs are, what their wants are, and that they can function with their optimal expression of life being expressed.
Yeah, and going back to what you just said again, the conversation's going really smooth with you today. So I appreciate you sharing so openly about, how you've integrated your lifestyle into the chiropractic world, which is awesome. And, how you view healthy families, because I think that that's a topic going forward that's only going to get stronger when our culture is going to move eventually to people only wanting to have healthy families.
Right.
Like, nobody's going to want to be in the cultural conversation saying that I have a sick family. So I think the chiropractic conversation is going to be more needed going forward, because there's going to be a demand for the knowledge and the system and the strategy and the philosophy. And there's going to be a demand for people wanting to have this unit of family that doesn't get sick.
Right. And the fact of the matter, though, is that there is a lot of dis-ease and disease
There
in our
is.
culture. And I'll be the first to say that there is a time and a place for medicine in the allopathic model. It's not exclusive of chiropractic. I mean, chiropractic is where the wisdom to make the choices, having connection to that, is critical. So that you're making it out of trust and not out of fear, making those choices.
Well, two things I'm going to touch on is I've always believed that you should have two doctors in your life ever since I got into the chiropractic world. One to keep you healthy, the chiropractor, and one to save you from dying. And that's the allopathic model. And I'm all for keeping myself alive. So I always tell people this: if you cut your finger and it's bleeding, you're not going to go to your chiropractor and expect them to adjust that away. You have to go to the people that are trained in fixing you. And there's a time for, intervention. The human body, we've come very far with science. We've come very far with pharmacology. And if the human body is going to, have an issue with death, then we're really good at resuscitating people and keeping them going. So if you value yourself or loved ones around you, we have the systems and strategies for that intervention. But also, this back to the point that you made, and I know we got to jump off, but I was talking to a doctor yesterday at lunch, Dr. Randy Roman, and the profession, the medical profession has turned chiropractic, or not chiropractic, but childbirth into a medical emergency. And
it's not a medical procedure. Childbirth is not a medical procedure.
Hearing the conversation I had with him yesterday is like they want to take the rights away from the woman by going to have a child. Like the story he shared with me blew my mind.
Right. Yeah. No, it's an industry, which is a whole nother live conversation.
We could jump
Yeah,
on again. We
yeah,
could jump on again and cover. We could cover one specific topic. We could talk
yeah,
about natural healthy families,
yeah, definitely,
and
definitely.
we could talk from
I
childbirth to 18 years old and what that looks like.
right, right, yeah, and that even is that's so broad because we are so broad, right? I mean, like there's the authentic expression of an individual. There are as many versions of that as there are people.
And here's Tara, one of my good friends. Her and her husband, Michael Hogan, are dear friends of mine. They're out in Waynesville, I believe it's called, North Carolina. And she says, 3 born in the comfort of my own home.
Me too.
Most empowered moments of my life.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And see, that's just when we make this a cultural conversation, we let people express their wins. And that's a win to me. Hearing Tara say that, that's a huge win. And hearing you talk about like having some of your kids' natural child, the natural childbirth with no immunizations, no vaccinations, and raising healthy kids. And those kids are great, and I think that's one of the things that, we just don't realize how important it is to share the cultural conversation of what it means to practice the chiropractic lifestyle.
Yeah, I think normalizing our life, like we're not the weirdos. When you start to travel in your pack of people and realize that you're not the only one who doesn't vaccinate your children. You're not the only one who's having home birth. My mother delivered in the hospitals because she was a certified nurse midwife, and home birth was illegal in Georgia. It's still mostly, but she had her babies. Like she just had to act like they didn't get there in time. So yeah. So we don't have to act like this isn't normal. Like this is normal. These choices for us, right? And that's again where you love people where they are. You don't have to judge them or make them wrong if they aren't comfortable with those choices yet. But they're not. It's going to be hard for them to get comfortable if there aren't people saying, "I trust. I'm safe. I'm okay. We're here." So getting it out there and being open with the choices that we're making in this field.
Exactly. Well, Lisa, I know that you have some kiddos coming over here shortly, so I don't want to. And Tara says yes, yes. Again, we love Tara. So I just wanted to say thank you for sharing your wisdom today with our audience, and thank you for being so authentic, transparent, and informative on the topics that you find near and dear to your heart, and just sharing a little bit about why it's important to have good support and what it's like to understand the business of chiropractic. And most of it's high-level communication. And I think that that's something that if everybody just kind of boils down chiropractic, it's about getting a degree and it's about communicating properly.
Well, and isn't communication, I mean, like what chiropractic stands so, the foundation is the communication of the body, right? And making sure that it's without interference, and the same's true with us. We don't need the distortion and disruption of things. We need to get really clear and express it well.
Well, the adjustment's its own healing language. So that's healing hands of communication, which sometimes is overlooked with actually having doctors of chiropractic touching people. There's something healing connecting about that too. So we could talk about that all day as well, about the physiology of actually being touched and being adjusted. That's something amazing to the human experience. But I'm going to let you rush off to take care of, did you say grandkids?
Yeah. So I have 2 grandchildren that come and hang out with me while my daughter does some tutoring sessions. She was a teacher for a while.
Okay. So we'll let you take care of the little ones, but I do want to say thank you to Dr. Barbara Eaton and her 56-day chiropractic boot camp for supporting the Chiro Hustle movement and supporting us as a media company, somebody that's supporting free speech in chiropractic. That's something that I really want to start putting the flag down into the soil on, is that Chiro Hustle supports free speech in chiropractic. I tell you this too, you're only one story away. If I've heard anything more consistently in chiropractic, it's tell the story. And I'll close out by saying, keep hustling. So Lisa, thank you for being a part of the show today, and we'll get you scheduled for another one.
All right. Thanks so much, Jim.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.